Hello, I'm Jen Moore, Music of the Baroque's program annotator, and welcome to Baroque Notes, our virtual pre-concert lecture series. In this edition, I'm going to discuss the program for our January concerts featuring superstar pianist Gabriela Montero performing Mozart's Piano Concerto in C major, Köchel 467. Dame Jane Glover also leads the orchestra in Joseph Boulogne Symphony No. 1, the first of two that still exist today, and Mozart's Symphony No. 39. Last February, Music of the Baroque joined forces with Concert Theater Works, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra Association, North Shore Center for the Performing Arts, and the K-Rhine Center for the Arts in Austin for the Midwest premiere of The Chevalier by Bill Barclay, a concert theater work about the life and music of Joseph Boulogne. While there is no direct evidence that Boulogne and Mozart ever knew each other, the two stayed in the same place in Paris for a brief period of time and probably crossed paths. The Chevalier brings to life this unwritten piece of history. In this scene, Boulogne invites Mozart to compose with him. R.J. Foster plays the role of Boulogne, David Joseph is Mozart, and violinists Brendan Elliott and Kevin Case stand in as their musical counterparts.
I need to go somewhere tonight, and I was thinking, actually, that we might play something before we part.
Your piano's out of tune.
No. Two violins.
You know I'm not good at feeling not good at things.
I've written something inspired by you, actually.
Go on.
A concerto, but two soloists, not one.
Who leads? No one does.
does.
Right, of course.
It would be an honor to hear the cadenza for the first time with you.
Mais bien sûr. On y va, Chevalier. Not half bad. What do you call it?
A Sinfonie Concertante. You should try it.
A little more about Joseph Boulogne, who was about a decade older than Mozart. He was born on the French Caribbean island of Guadeloupe to Nanon, an enslaved woman of Senegalese origins, and Georges de Boulogne, a French plantation owner. Joseph's father loved his son and took responsibility for his development and education, placing him in a French boarding school in 1753. Georges de Boulogne and Nanon followed their son to France 2 years later, and the trio moved into an apartment in Paris. In 1757, Georges became a gentleman of the King's Chamber, serving as a personal assistant to King Louis XV. When he was 13, Joseph entered the Royal Academy of Fencing and Horsemanship. According to one report, at 15, Boulogne's progress was so rapid that he was already beating the best swordsmen, and at 17, he developed the greatest speed imaginable. Upon his graduation in 1766, Boulogne became an officer of the King's bodyguard and a chevalier, or knight, consequently earning the nickname Le Chevalier de Saint-Georges. We know much less about Boulogne's musical training, only that he burst on the scene as a violinist and soon became director of Le Concert Olympique, formerly Le Concert de la Loge Olympique, effectively a house orchestra for the Freemasons' Lodge. This secret society may be one real point of connection with Mozart, who was also a Freemason. Queen Marie Antoinette, an accomplished musician, was often in the audience for these performances. In 1786, Boulogne directed the premiere of the famous Paris Symphonies by Joseph Haydn, another Freemason, with the Queen herself in attendance. He also composed string quartets, violin concertos, symphonies, and other instrumental works during his time with the orchestra. Only 2 symphonies by Bellone exist today, as I mentioned. Bellone's affinity for string writing shines throughout all 3 movements of the G major symphony, as the violins shoulder the light-hearted melodic burden with confidence. Let's listen to the very opening of the symphony. We move to Bellone's colleague Mozart with the second work on the program, the Piano Concerto in C major, Kirche 467, featuring the music of the Baroque debut of Venezuelan pianist Gabriela Montero. In demand on recital and concert stages around the world, Montero was a child prodigy who began picking out melodies on a toy piano at the age of 7 months. By 9, she was playing concertos with orchestras. She is also particularly known for her improvisations, which not only show her musical ingenuity and genius, but also her deep understanding of composers' unique styles, as this short video example demonstrates charmingly.
Let me see if that's a good theme for that. How does it go? No? Yeah, no? So maybe Haydn would have done, let's see. I think Haydn is just more royal in a way. A little bit more elegant, no? And then Mozart would have probably taken it a step further, the Enfant Terrible, so maybe Mozart didn't really care what people thought of him. In his music, he would poke fun at people. He would poke fun at who we are as human beings.
She will doubtless bring this incredible insight to Mozart's Piano Concerto in C major, composed in Vienna in 1785. As Montero recently shared on Facebook, "I've played this concerto since I was 9, but only now do the Mozartian harmonies jump out at me and beg to be expressed with a subtle romanticism. It's not just about clarity with him, but also the underlying emotionality of every chord and transition."
So beautiful.
The final work on the program is Mozart's Symphony No. 39, the first in his famous final symphonic trilogy. Mozart's success in Vienna was not long-lived. By the late 1780s, just a few years after he wrote that piano concerto, the wartime economy had severely curtailed cultural activities and therefore the opportunity for commissions. Mozart's extravagant tastes exacerbated his worsening financial situation. Don Giovanni had just failed in Vienna despite its warm reception in Prague, and Mozart seemed to be losing favor with the Viennese public. No longer able to afford his exorbitant city rent, Mozart was forced to find less expensive lodgings in the suburbs. By June 1788, the composer was begging for money, writing repeatedly to friends to ask for loans. Amazingly, Mozart produced some of his finest works amid this personal chaos. In the breathtakingly short span of about 6 weeks during the summer of 1788, Mozart composed his last symphonies, number 39, number 40, and number 41, also known as the Jupiter. We don't know why Mozart wrote these works or if they were ever performed during his lifetime, but this final trilogy is today known as the pinnacle of his symphonic achievement. Although the G minor and Jupiter symphonies, 40 and 41, are more frequently performed today, the Symphony number 39 is no less deserving. Written in 4 movements, the symphony begins with a dramatic adagio in which driving chords trade places with gently falling scales. The increasing tension gradually dissolves in the ensuing allegro, which also contrasts vigorous string flourishes with moments of gentle lyricism. The clips that follow come from a 1958 recording of the London Symphony Orchestra under the direction of conductor Hans Schmidt-Isserstedt. After a delicate andante con moto comes the rustic figure of the menuetto, which evokes a Ländler, a lively folk dance popular in Austria that featured stomping, hopping, and even yodeling. In the finale, marked Allegro, the pervasive use of a single theme is sometimes compared to Haydn. As the motive is varied and developed, the resulting witty optimism nearly eclipses the emotional intensity of the previous movements. I hope you enjoy Montero Plays Mozart, our very first concert of 2023. Please join us for the rest of the season, especially our April performances of Bach's monumental St. Matthew Passion, the work we had selected as a cornerstone of the 50th anniversary celebration that was lost to the pandemic. We're finally doing it. Thank you so much for joining me today.